my injury, I don't have a goal in my mind. So my motivation is like, well, what are you even doing this for? Why are you biking for this much? Like, what's going on? Like, what is the point of it? Like, you're not training for anything. You don't have anything coming up. You're injured. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's the point?
Welcome back to the MC Run podcast. This is podcast number 3, and we are going to talk about post-marathon blues, post-marathon racing, depression, anxiety, and stress all after a race because there is no structure to your training. So you obviously have, it's been 7 weeks or something since your marathon?
Yeah, 6 full weeks, so I'm going on the 7th week, and it's been very, very difficult. I must say, since my marathon, haven't been feeling the same, and really and truly haven't been feeling the same since the last month of my training block of when I got injured, and I managed to put a nice decent week up, which was the week of the race, and felt really good, felt like myself, especially going to that race. But as soon as I raced, it just went downhill. From there, I started to
injuries started to kick in and everything like that.
Yeah, so I took a full week off after my marathon, just planned out everything, and I thought I was going to go back into training completely normal. And maybe I started way too much too soon. I don't really know. Not really. I started off with a 4-mile run that day, and maybe I should have started slower, but who really knows? And it was like that run was awful. The first run, I mean, I felt just complete. I don't even know how to explain. My foot was hurting, and my foot kind of was hurting in November. I just kind of ignored it, and during the race, actually during the marathon, I did experience some heel pain, some minor heel pain. Definitely was feeling it, but I think the adrenaline was rushing so much that it didn't come to me that, oh, you should stop. But
did the heel pain bother you through your training block?
Never.
Not
Never.
During the race even?
It did bother me during the race for like a mile, and I noticed it for like 3 miles or so, but it wasn't nothing serious. And then, so you know what I'm thinking right now, like the worst case scenario for what my heel pain can be, and it's really caused me so much stress right now because I'm biking right now. I'm able to do cycling, but I might be doing too much because it's just causing so much stress on me that I don't even know where to really begin because I want to get.
I feel like to keep up your fitness, you got to bike for 3+ hours a day.
Yeah, like I have to do some crazy stuff to try to keep up my fitness because
running and biking aren't the same thing. They stimulate different. They don't stimulate different muscles, but they stimulate different, I guess, nerves and the different pound. You pound your feet on the pavement when running, and you don't really do that in biking. You more just pedal the motion forward.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm pretty much done with it. It's causing me so much anxiety of the biking. I just want to be done with it because it's causing me so much stress of waking up in the morning and going biking for this amount of time at least. I was getting at least 2.5 hours because that's what I've been doing. That's what I feel like. It
starts to become a terrible routine.
Yeah, and I want to get back out to running because I feel like you can do the same thing every day, but you explore different things every day. You go out for a run, you can experience some different weather. You can experience a different feeling every day. You go through different thoughts. But when you're on the bike, I feel like it's a little different. It's I don't really know. Maybe because I'm not a cyclist and I just want to get back to running. And
because running's your main priority.
Yeah, and other than that, I woke up this morning and my motivation was just overall not there. I truly don't have a goal in my head. I, again, want to feel normal, but I'm not feeling normal because of my injury, my heel. It's well, what? So I think of all these things. Maybe I continue to have this heel pain because of the big gear cycling. Maybe I'm just stressing out my plantar fascia by pushing down on the pedals and it's causing this heel pain. And then I had a little bit of a tendon issue. It's not something severe, but I can afford to take a day off because I'm not in a training block, but I still have so much stress going on because
you still feel like you're going to lose fitness even though you're in the off season and it's okay to take a day off in the off season.
Yeah, and honestly,
you still feel like you're going to lose even more fitness even with that day off, just even one day off.
Yeah, even during a training block, it's okay to take a day off. It kind of brings me back to that day when I was in my training block and my first injury came up on that Thursday, I started to feel a little bit of a niggle, and I had a feeling it was going to become a little bit more severe than that. And so I woke up on Friday knowing I should not do anything. Like, I knew, like, it is probably not best. This is going to turn into something way worse than you want, and then you'll be out for something. And who knows?
And you'll regret it.
Yeah, and I really do, because I feel like that injury caused all my other injuries. It has caused me to experience my foot pain. Because when I was
changing
injured,
the gait cycle, the changing of the motion of running, you just changed everything about it to kind of feel no pain on that other injury and causing other injuries and just kind of causing a rambunctious amount of injuries.
yeah, because when I was injured, I was able to jump rope still, which is, I don't even know. I was somehow able to jump rope, and so I did. And jump roping is like, you are on your planner, you are on your tippy toes, bouncing up and down continuously for no break. Running, you roll your foot. You like roll your foot up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Jump roping, you're just on it, and it really does stretch out your plantar. And I really think that was causing heel pain at the end of the day. I don't like to say it does, but at the end of the day, it really does. I mean, I never jump rope. I went from, it's like almost like running. You jump up from 0 miles to 50 miles. I jumped up from 20 minutes of jump roping per day to 45 to 50 minutes of jump roping.
Essentially, you're not progressive overload. Like,
yeah.
Anything you do, anything of sort of training you do, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's cycling, whether it's running, whether it's warming up for a run, you got a progressive overload. Like, let's say I go into a deep, even stretching. If I go into a deep stretching routine and really stretch out those muscles, I could pull a hamstring.
Yeah, you really could. And I took a bad approach because since I am injured, it's just causing me, like, I wake up and I have, to be honest, I have so much depression with my injury. Like, it's like, it's what happens. I don't know when it's going to get better. Yeah. I don't know how my fitness, like, I go on these test runs and I can't even urge out a 10-minute pace. And, like, I don't know if it's because of my stress. My stress is so high from it that it's just not in the right state of mind. And so it causes my mental side to not be there. Like, I'm about this point to where I want to just be done biking. I just want to just lay in my bed and just wake up the next day or wake up the next time when I'll actually feel myself again. When I can wake up, I do my core routine. I don't hop on the bike. I go warm up for a run and I go for a run rather than sitting on the bike. I mean, yes, the bike is good and all for athletes, but, like, it comes to a point where it can be a little too much. I mean, since I was injured, I feel like I need a bike for all this majority of time to try to keep up my fitness, build all the strength because of running. Like, I feel like I need to do as much activity as I was doing in the peak volume of marathon training, because that's the volume I basically came off with from my injury. So I feel like I never really raced my marathon, to be honest with you, because I went from injury to racing a marathon to back to an injury. And so it kind of feels like I still kind of came off my peak volume and I've been injured since then. And so, but honestly, I should be taking just complete rest. Like, complete rest.
Considering you're in the off season.
And I can say I'm in the off season, but that was a long time ago. It's been 7 weeks, and, like, it's a...
The thing about an off season, it can last a long time.
Yeah.
When you were in your train after your half marathon in March, you went into off season essentially because you had no race plan, you had no structure. You did races for fun, such as the South Park half marathon. You went up to Colorado with no structure. You went to the beach with no structure. You went to the beach again with no structure. You did a workout, a duathlon workout with no structure, and then you dived into your train block. But while you were doing that, it was your off season, and that off season was building your aerobic base.
Yeah, and it's definitely way easier than... That was definitely way easier than the off season right now because I'm not doing something that... I mean, I love biking and all. It just comes to a point where it's like...
When am I going to run again?
When am I going to run again? Like, that's all I think about on the bike. How do you think time passes? Because I can't get over the fact that, like, it's... My mental side is not there on the bike.
Am I done running for the year? Like, the next time I race a marathon, will I break 3 hours again? Yeah. Will I break 2 hours and 55? Or will my time actually get worse and worse and worse because I'm not running, I'm biking?
Yeah, and you can rely on bike strength, but when I went out for a run this morning,
It is because of the muscle stimulus.
my form was so jacked up, and yes, it was from my tendon that was a little bit inflamed from the biking. I think my saddle is kind of jacked up because it's so off. Like,
Wait, you haven't fixed it?
I fixed it, but I need to really just alter into and see what's the perfect height of my saddle. Because when I fix it, I start to, like, I don't know. I should have kept it the same, but who really knows? It's just like it would be easier if I had a goal in my mind, but it would be easier if I just felt like no injuries. Like if I actually like came off my peak race, had the full week off, and I was able to go back into some training for an all season for like 2 or 3 weeks. And actually be able to train with no heel pain, because if that actually happened, I would enter out at off season and actually start training for a race, for a training block, which would be the trail race. But I can't do that anymore because of my heel pain. I don't know where this is going. I don't know where it's taking me. I don't know how long it's going to last. And like, this is not the year how I want it to start at all. I mean, I have 70 miles ran this year, but what is actually running? What was the things that I actually wanted? Running on a treadmill? No, that's where most of my miles came from. Like, that is not running to me. That is just like bare minimum of just, I don't even know what to call it. And having a goal, and then not to mention my injury, I don't have a goal in my mind. So my motivation is like, well, what are you even doing this for? Why are you biking for this much? Like, what's going on? Like, what is the point of it? Like, you're not training for anything. You don't have anything coming up. You're injured. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, and especially since your bike block, like let's say you went on a train block for your bike, considering you're injured, you would still feel that mental fatigue of, instead of being like, I can wake up and not bike, you would feel like, oh, I have to wake up and bike and follow this exact regimen, this exact routine, because it's written down, it's in my computer of, oh, I got 50 miles on the bike today. Oh, I got 3 hours on the bike today.
Yeah, and it's been like 6 weeks since my race, and I never wrote down in my training calendar, which I really should have, which I did write down, but then I started to experience the heel pain in my run, so I just crossed everything off, and I'm like, nope, can't do this. But what I really should do is create a training. If I have to continue biking, I can't run, well, maybe I should create a training plan for the biking. Even though it's not running, it'll be hard to say I'm officially not running. And I cannot really test my run because I have a training plan for my bike, which I really should do because I feel like I have to basically bike the same time every day.
Even though you had that mental burnout, that mental fatigue of, oh, I got to at least bike 2.5, that kind of overtraining symptom of OTS of, oop, on Monday I bike 3 hours, so the next Monday I gotta at least bike 3 hours and 1 minute to count. So you got that mental fatigue, mental burnout. But if, let's say, you went into that block of biking, then you'll be like, well, now I have to do, even if it's not more time. Let's say Monday's 2 hours, Tuesday's 3 hours, Wednesday's 1 hour.
Yeah.
You would feel like you still have to bike that 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour for that day, whatever it is.
Yeah, and in the beginning of a marathon training block, I thought 2 hours was a satisfaction to me. I really thought 2 hours was like amazing for me, and now it's like, well, why are you only doing 2 hours? First off, you're not even running, and you were actually running during that time. You just took a few off days and actually biked for 2 hours, and that was totally fine. But since I feel like I'm not running, and again, I feel like I came off my peak volume and still have to hold like that peak volume of not running but biking, since I really didn't feel like I raced. I've been injured since, and I just need to keep that fitness up from my peak volume as much as I can. So I feel like I have to bike for like 2.5, 3+ hours, 5 hours on Saturday, and just keep that up. But like, I really should only be biking like 2 hours a day, if that. Like, some days do an hour and a half, some days
do an hour.
Like, yeah, do an hour and go easy. Like, I'm going moderate to
because
hard
sometimes
every day.
It can soon become too much where it's actually making your fitness worse. Because overtraining. It's going to cause your muscles to never recover, never allow that muscle stimuli. I know me telling you this right now has been like, yeah, this is true. I never really thought of that. I'm definitely not gonna like.
No, I think of it, but I'm like, what's the point? Like what? I'm just gonna lose even more. I just have a thought in my head.
You're
gonna lose even more.
Because biking and running aren't the same thing, and so to equal running miles, you have to bike this tremendous amount of miles.
Yeah, because I feel like if I had a running plan right now, I would be running like 12 miles, like for whatever reason. I feel like, and even if I was running like 5 miles, still I feel like I had to bike. And really and truly, I should go to the gym and do elliptical for some time and cross-train with other formations rather than just the bike. I mean, I am sitting on a saddle, and that is tightening up my hip flexors. That is making my hips, so when I get back to running, what in the world is that going to be like? Because why do I wonder why I was so tight?
You might want to stretch more.
Yeah, and I really do stretch in the morning when I do my core, but like, I am sitting on the saddle for 3 hours. I'm either going hard or moderate. I'm never going easy, which is dumb, but that's the way I feel like. I feel like that is my attitude towards the biking. And even during when I got injured slightly with shin splints in June, I was only biking for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Easy.
And, yeah, well, I wouldn't say easy.
Sometimes you would bike easy.
Yeah, and I feel like that was enough, but again, the reason I feel like I have to do all that is because of my injury. Like, my injuries mess everything up. I had such a good plan going, and then I made the stupid mistake to go for a run while I was injured. Like,
yeah,
it messed literally everything up. That's why I literally think I got this injury after that injury, and now I experience my heel pain. Like, what is the ultimate cause of my heel pain? It's not really because of the running. It's because during my injury, I wasn't really spending much time on my feet. It was what I was doing the extra. And I feel like one of the injuries just messed everything up. My whole entire routine, my whole entire focus in my training, and, like, especially my focus in my training, it's just caused me more stress. And, like, just, like, more is better. That's what my attitude is now. Especially since the time I ran in my marathon. Like, where's my fitness going now? It's definitely, like, going down the dumps at this point.
Like, you feel like you're never going to regain it back. But, like, I feel like I'm never going to regain my fitness back. But overall, I can't look at the past. I can only look at the future of what the future will bring me. But, like, just like how my hip injury was, I ran on my injury and I also biked on my injury. I biked with my hip thing. I noticed I was doing Zwift races so much, biking hard. Like, Zwift racing is hard. I mean, you're going all out, like, nonstop. Like, it's tiring. Even, like, and then, like, it's a lot of tiring that you can overtrain because they're very, very fun. But I started to feel this hip pain. I don't know if it's some of my thoughts would be like, maybe my saddle height just wasn't the right height.
It's always something else. It's never like you actually, like, overtrained or something. It's always something else. I say it caused heel pain from another injury, but, like, I maybe ran too much miles. Why do you think I got injured in the first place? Like, why did that injury come up? Why? Like,
and then
find the error to that, and then you can find the error to most mistakes.
Yeah, but back to the thing, I should probably get my bike saddle fixed.
Yeah, your bike saddle looks really low when I look at it. I'm like, what is he doing?
Especially since I'm taller. But I need to figure it out because I start to feel some pain. And then I biked on it, and then I ran on it with the track workout. And then I ran on it with the cool down, and then I was like, I gotta take time off. It hurts, but because I ran on it. When running on the injury instead of taking time off, I didn't wake up with pain, but I had on the last 2 mile repeat and the recovery run or whatever, the cool down, I had pain. I should have just said, call it quits. Since we biked there, my cooldown should have just been biking back or walking back or something, or ask someone to pick me up because it just overall caused my hip pain to be where it is now 6 months later, and overall that could lead to your thing. You feel this injury now, you bike on it, you run on it, boom, 7 months later, 6 months, a year later, you're still injured, and you're like, why did I do that? Why?
Yeah, so as you know, I really haven't been telling you this, but on Friday I experienced some tendon pain. I'm just thinking it's nothing. Went through it on Saturday, no pain, but later in the day feeling some pain. Same with Sunday, Monday, kind of, and then today.
Did you strength train with the pain?
You know, I didn't really strength train. I kind of went to the gym and did, like, light movement and crap.
You know the day that Sarah brought us to the wrong. No, she didn't bring us to the wrong gym. She brought us to Albertsons.
Mm-hmm.
That Uber. Yes, that was the day that track workout on July 17th.
Yeah, I know.
Thank God I did not go to the gym. Thank God, because I was like, I kind of hope not to go to the gym. I kind of hope not to, because my pain started to get really, really bad as the day went on. And like when I was editing the videos, very cringy videos, I was like, man, it's really getting bad. I kind of hope I don't go to the gym because it kind of hurts. It's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Actually,
and I was like, oh, Matthew's gonna make me go. I guess I gotta go. Thank God we went to Albertsons instead.
Yeah, you know that hip pain I had the week of the marathon race, that when I fell out the tub, I had that pain reoccurring. Like it gets every time like I do something to that hip, it can get irritated. Like that's why I got irritated. I fell lightly out the tub, and it just caused so much pain because of how I done it to prior. Like I had to like watch how like during that day I also had like hip bruising pain, and I couldn't run for like the next 5 days because of it, because of the impact that it would cause. And thank God I didn't go to this gym because it wouldn't hurt to do squats, but it's just the overall movement causes pain to the hip. But back to my injury, like today I woke up this morning and I knew today was just gonna be a rough day. I really did. I'm not.
You kind of had that feeling.
I'm
even at like 12 o'clock in the morning, you're like, I don't think I'm biking today. And then that mental fatigue starts to kick in, and you're like,
I'm so glad I didn't think of that in the middle of the night because I don't think I would have gone back to bed.
Like you're saying, am I taking time off because I hurt?
Or is it because of my mental side?
Or my mental side, and be like, I don't want to bike, I want to run instead. Or I just like, I don't want to bike anymore because I'm overtraining.
And I feel like it's all the above. Like I said,
then the mental burnout from the marathon, just the post-marathon depression. Yeah. Like, where is this fitness going?
Like, what's the point of it? Like, it's so much depression. Like, what's the point of it? What is the point of doing all this? Like seriously. Like, it's being honest with you. What is the point? Like, where is this going? Where am I going with it? Especially since I'm not running. Like, what's the point of the biking? So when I woke up this morning, I was experiencing like, I'm just so done with the bike. I've been biking a lot for the last 5 weeks, and and it got up and up. Like last week, 420 something miles or whatever, 20 hours from the bike, and I think at that point it became way too much and so on. But I think it actually became too much at that point. Where it's like, well, just like I was actually going to take a down week the following week, but seriously, was I going to take a down week? Was that actually, maybe? It's like an injury needs to happen to force you into a down week sometimes. Like, some niggles have to happen to kind of force you, because your body's telling you, like, just take a break. It's okay. Like, and what makes it worse is, like, why are you taking a break?
Because you're overtraining.
It's like, why are you even taking a break? You're not even running right now. Like, what? Like, you're just making it even worse. Like, I feel like I have to bike day in, day out besides Sundays. Just Sundays are... Why can I take Sundays off, but when I can't take any other day off? Like, why do I feel like that?
Why can't you switch, let's say, Sunday to Monday or whatever?
Yeah.
Or not just take off Monday and Sunday.
Yeah. Some athletes do take off 2 days a week. When they have a pain they can't run or something like that. Like, there's no need to bike 3 hours a day or bike every day and so on. And, like, when I woke up this morning, I'm like, I feel off. This is a weird morning, so on. Like, why am I even eating my pre-breakfast meal? I'm like, what's the point of it? Like, I don't think I'm really going to do anything today. And to be honest, I'm like, what's the real reason? Is it because your mental side is just overall not there? Or you injured? And a little bit of both, not gonna lie. My mental side was not there because all I can think about was running. Because when I went to bed last night, all I was thinking about, you might be able to run tomorrow morning. We'll see. And that's all I was thinking about. And when I came to...
It kind of made you happy.
Yeah, when I came to conclusion that I wasn't able to run, I'm like, I
definitely don't want to bike anymore because
I
can't. Like, it's hard to kind of explain it word to word.
Yeah.
But, like, you know what you're thinking.
I literally got, like, depressed all of a sudden. And so it just, like, downtown my...
And you also don't want to run because you first off feel like you're going to make the injury worse, or it's going to pop up in your run, or you just feel weird running. on an injury and just haven't.
Yeah, you want to feel completely normal.
Like, and you haven't ran in a while, so you just don't want to run because you just like, I kind of have to go on this run, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel.
It's okay to run with niggles, but it's not okay to run with pain.
Like,
and you don't want to run with pain. Like, it's awful.
Like, do I essentially want to run right now? No, I don't, because I don't know how it's gonna feel. My heart's gonna burn because I haven't ran in a while. I can't pump that much blood. I mean, it's 6 months, does tremendous to your fitness. I'm sure I can run for my life if I needed to, but I wouldn't be thinking because I'm running for my life. But,
yeah.
Let's say I was actually running though, I wouldn't want to because I don't have enough strength in my legs to support just the pound and motions of running because you're just pound.
And you know what's gonna come.
And then you need that strength in your quads and stuff so stuff doesn't tear. You don't get injured. You can actually, your legs don't hurt. And then you can actually kind of like support your whole body, your core. And so you'll use less energy because you have the right posture, you have the correct form. You use less energy, you can run faster at a lower heart rate. And you can run if you just kind of build that strength up. And that's why I don't want to run because I don't have enough strength to have that correct posture. And then my heart rate is just going to be out of whack. Like, it's just going to be...
Yeah, and I say I want to start running right now, especially since I'm like so done with the bike right now because it's the same routine every day. I mean, not gonna lie, and it's just getting mentally stressing for me because of the fact that I want to run and the fact like where's this going and whatnot. It's like what's the real reason I'm not biking? So on. That causes already more stress. And I'm like, I want to go run, but what is the stress going to be like when I start running? When I notice I can't run as far, my paces suck. Like, you can't run a 6:39 pace, and you ran that for 26.2 miles, and you can't even run that for a quarter of a mile. Like, what's going on? Like, it's just going to cause even more stress. And then you're gonna be like, oh, I wish I went back to biking, but like, oh, I finally get to start this journey back onto running, and I'll start to feel normal again. But when am I gonna start feeling normal again? When I reach those paces, or when I reach better than those paces? Because like, where has my fitness gone in these last 2 months? Like overall, it's been 2 months since the race, basically, and what have I been doing? Like, really, I haven't been doing anything.
And this break from running. It could be happening for a reason. Like, everything happens for a reason. Like, literally everything. No matter what you do, from work, school, life in general, running, biking, anything you do, everything happens for a reason. Like, what is this one reason I got injured? Because we got the MRI and we noticed that the appendix was inflamed. That's one of the reasons that it could have happened. And that could be the only reason it could have happened. Alright? The only reason that my hip could have hurt. But is there also another reason that I won't know until I die? Or is there another reason that I will know when I'm 40, 50, or a few years from now, a few months from now? Will I know it then? Yeah, maybe, or maybe not, but there's a reason for everything, and will bring much more happiness, much more achievements, much more everything.
Yeah, and this goes, like, back to, like, another reason why, like, I don't feel the same is because of the food that I've been eating. Like, I enjoy my food way more, like I'm eating more junk than I was in my marathon block, and it has caused me to gain some weight, which causes even more stress. And so when I go back from, like, you just can't run all normal, and your joints hurt when you run, not because you've been biking for so long,
and that muscle stimuli is not there.
Yeah, it's because you put on all this weight. You're not at race weight, which is probably best if I gain weight. I mean, I notice a lot more strength on the bike. But what's the strength in the running?
Compare yourself to the first day of your training block to your last day of the training block.
Mm-hmm.
What was your physique? Much more
leaner or much more? Not
leaner
fat,
on this side, but much more. You weren't fat or anything, but you had more.
I don't know
weight.
how to say it. Weight. Yeah.
You had more weight on your body, in the form of muscle and the form of body fat. But that overall led you to perform better. You said your legs were less heavy when you had more body fat.
Speaking of that,
and just you were prioritizing your nutrition more. You were prioritizing your recovery better because if you are eating caloric deficits, and you just aren't gonna prioritize your recovery, it's gonna be harder to recover from workouts. Like, after your workout, sometimes you're like, Sundays you would feel very tired, very sluggish. You would sleep in much later. like till 10 o'clock. I'd be like, man, he's still sleeping. Because first off, you weren't eating on
Actually,
Saturday.
I would have crappy more sleep. Throughout my training block, I had better sleep.
Yeah, because you're eating.
I was
carbs.
just laying in bed.
You're eating carbs. Like it's kind of on and off, which is normal after a hard workout if your heart rate's high. But like you just had better overall performance.
Yeah, and I definitely say.
And like you wouldn't eat on Saturday as much. You would eat but you wouldn't eat as much. And then Sunday you would binge or just not. You wouldn't feel good. But once you ate, you kind of just felt good every single day. But on that Monday, when you didn't eat Saturday, but you ate a lot on Sunday, you felt good on Monday, and then you kind of restricted, and then you just kind of felt like.
I never say restricted. It's just like wow. It's like I don't know. I don't know what I really thought. I should have just ate more food.
Yeah.
But like once I started putting on weight, my legs did feel a lot better. They were way less stiff. My runs got faster, and everything else went well. And speaking of the first 2 weeks, when I was extremely lean in my training block, which when I look at those photos, I'm like, oh, well, damn, like what's going on? Like
But is it worth it?
You put on this much weight in 6 months, like seriously, what did you do? But I gotta say it's definitely worth it because how heavy my legs felt in the beginning of my training block, it almost made me want to quit. I literally have a run on my Strava, and it says in when the private notes came out on Strava, I didn't want anybody else to see it. It was just for me, and I looked back, and it was like...
They say the private notes are for your drugs you take. How many dosages?
And it was I think 10 days in, and it was after my gym session, and I'm like, this is just awful. I might really need to just take more downtime because I was coming off from kind of overtraining in Colorado and whatnot.
The beach
just not overtraining, just like having fun and all that. And so I took a full month off. But when I got to that 8-mile run, I'm like, this is awful. Like, not a point we're enjoying. And I said, if you stop your watch 3 times to stop, you gotta take a week off. And it pushed me through to never stop my watch ever in that run.
What do you mean by that?
Like, if I had to stop my watch, like, I was going to run, and I had to stop 3 times. Like, pause, not bathroom-wise, but pause and just kind of, massage out my calves and whatnot. You gotta take more time off. Like, you cannot enter a marathon block like this. And so I never stopped my watch, it made me, but I felt like crap. I really did. The miles ticked by so slow, like only at mile 1. And this was only an 8-mile run.
So you were mentally fatigued.
I was mentally fatigued. I was physically fatigued. My hamstrings just cramped up. It was awful. And one of the facts was, I was mentally ready, but I was so lean that it would cause me to feel tremendously awful. I was tired. My legs were heavy.
And you were really drained and tired after your runs, like you didn't want to do anything.
Not really, but overall, I could have had more energy, I guess you can say.
Do things.
I could have ran better, but once I started finding out,
it looks cool and all to be that lean, but is it worth your performance? Is it worth your health? Is it worth your just mental?
Yeah, so I'm I really thought my mental side was so not there. So I really thought about quitting it and throwing my marathon training block in the towel because of the fact I was too lean. So what if I actually threw my marathon training block in the towel? Would I have gotten injured in the later part of my training block? Or would I even have gotten to that point in my training block if I didn't fix myself?
It's hard to say because that's time that It's just, would you even have ran the marathon, or would you have ran the Louisiana Marathon
that ultimately planned?
Yeah, would you have ran it a week ago? But is that the time when you changed your racing goal?
No, I changed it right before my down week.
And let's say...
And I kind of always had that in the back of my head because of what I was... thoughts in my head, 24 weeks. What is going on? That's a really long time.
I kept on telling you, dude, that's kind of long. Dude, you might want to change something about that.
And if I continue that pattern of being so lean in my training block,
you probably would have ran such a worse time.
Yeah, because one reason I think I ran such a bad marathon time trial in Florida was because I would carb up and everything, eat right, and feel good and amazing, and but I was just doing so much activity and training, especially in Colorado and whatnot, and training in the heat in the summer, that I was not hungry as much, and I could never get in as much food, and it overall made me extremely lean, and over time, I would love to look that lean and perform as good as I was in my marathon training block.
But if you kept that lean, your performance would have ended up just becoming stagnant.
Stress fractures would have came.
You could have got injured more, but your performance could have just stayed still.
Yeah, but you know what I say?
You probably couldn't have. Your performance would have just stayed still, stay stagnant, or it would have just stayed stagnant, start to drop slowly, or just have a big gradual let's say on one of your runs you're so lean, and then you're stacked. It's like one of your runs you finish it, or during the run you just I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. My energy's not here. My mental side's not there. My physical, everything's not working. And you just kind of pass out because you're just kind of tired. It's kind of like that time where back in overtraining, where I literally just so many times during that time I just had to lay down in my runs, because we both did it one time. We just laid down in the grass.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not. At least I know when to stop now. I know if I get into that point of my mental side, it's not
debating if we should call them out, because we used to bring our phones. Should we call them out? And we're no, because our mental sides and stuff were so strong. They were no, because that would be quitting. We can't do that. And but even though we were laying down before a run, and after a run, we were just so tired. We didn't want to do it anymore because we just were physically.
We should really make a podcast on that.
Yeah, just because it's just
kind of awful.
It's just
awful.
It's just a whole separate topic that just needs a whole separate YouTube video and also a podcast. Just have a podcast with it and also a YouTube video with it, because it's just kind of wow. It just.
I'm so glad.
2 months. I know it was only probably around 2 months, but it did so much damage. Yeah. Overall to every aspect, mental, physical, not just in the sport of running, but overall in life.
Yes, my mental side was so strong during it, but I'm kind of glad I have my mental side now, because
it's very strong.
I know when to take it.
It's strong, but you know when to stop.
I know when to just officially take it. It's just time to be done. If I was in that phase, I would run through that even pain I had. Yes, I ran through the first day. I ran through that pain. It caused me to get injured because is back to that. Oh, I need to cross this off to get a good marathon time. If you don't do this, your time will suck. This is a key run apparently, because every run is a key run to do good in your training block. And so I did it, and I would have still ran if I was in that phase, but I didn't run. But one reason, this is funny, one reason I say I got injured is because I gained weight. When I got heavier, my joints couldn't deal with it anymore, and it made me get injured. Maybe, but
your body's not used to that weight, but most likely not.
Yeah, it's just I always make excuses to say, oh, you can run this lean, or you can do this much training, and so on, and everything else.
Yeah, when we were right before overtrain, our mental sides were well, it's not time to quit.
Wait,
it's not time to stop. Even though I hurt, I'm not taking a day off. It's just we didn't know when to stop training.
And one reason it came to that was because I got injured. Once I was doing good in my training, and then I got tendonitis in my knee. And that's what I fear what this is. So that's why I just stopped everything. You do not want to get that again. That's 5 weeks of doing absolutely nothing. And so I'm if not more. So I did 3 weeks of doing nothing beside strength work and stuff.
Remember, even if 3 weeks feels long and you feel maybe if 3 weeks feels very long, but it could have been 6 weeks instead of 3 weeks. It could have been 8 weeks instead of 3 weeks. 3 weeks is always better than whatever the other case scenario is. Maybe it could have been 2 weeks off, or 1 week, or just 3 days off. But you never know. You never want to take that gamble. And many athletes do take that gamble, and they risk having taken years off, months off, days off. And overall, maybe they can take that luck of the draw with the gamble and hit jackpot and not get injured, and actually it helps their injury, but you're running about a 99% chance that you're going to have something and you're going to have to take more time off.
Yeah, and when I had to take those 5 weeks off, when I got back into my training, I feel like, I need to do all this stuff to get out. And it later led to that overtraining phase. And that's what I'm scared of right now. Since I got injured after a marathon and I can't run, I feel like I have to do all this other stuff to try to compare it to running as much as I can, because running is so different. Is like you can run 20 miles and you have to now do like a 40-hour cycling week to match up, because running is just
5 hours of running.
Running is just so different. And then when you get back to running, you might jump up way too fast, and where are you going again? Another injury. Could be 10 times worse. And essentially, another reason why I think I got injured is because during race week or whatever, like I feel like I had to run to try to get back to running a little bit, and I ended up running too high of a volume. But then I came back down and whatnot. And where I am now, I want to feel normal. I want to get back to normal. I just want to start, but maybe it could be a phase of bleeding back into running, because if I get off the bike for some time and I may be able to start running,
you can allow your mental side to rest up, because if your mental side's not there, your physical side's not there, because you don't want to push as hard, you don't want to train as hard, you don't want to continue to train, you don't want to push as much watts if you're biking, you don't want to run as fast. If you're because you're mentally tired, you're physically drained, you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah. And it's just not about my physical side getting fresh for the bike, it's about my mental side, because I want to get into running not just physically fresh but mentally fresh, so I'm able to feel like that good, solid, normal self I was feeling in my training block, where I was just crushing these runs and whatnot and all that. So if I took some time off the bike, like it will allow my plantar to heal and everything else to maybe get better. Who really knows though? And just go to the gym and do strength work. So when I get back to running, my mental side's there. I feel strong. My quads are not tired, and be able to run pretty good again. And here and there, do the cycling I did during my marathon training block.
Yeah, because cycling is good for
cross training is just good.
Movement of the legs, allow recovery, blood flow, and because you get in the big gear, it can build strength.
Yeah, and do like 30 minutes, like Mondays and stuff. Maybe sometimes do an hour. Maybe like train every day, Sundays too, and just do like a hour cycle. Like get back into a nice solid routine when I get back to running, and maybe that needs to cause me to go take some time off from most activity other than like a core routine. That's some foam rolling I can do. Go to the gym. Maybe do like 30-minute cycles, just for like 3 to 5 days, maybe even a week. And then who knows? I could start running, but who really knows? I mean, time will only tell. You can't really see in the future. Just gotta live in the present. I mean, why it's called present? It's like you just enjoy the life process right now. Life can be tough right now. All days are not gonna be like sunshine and rainbows. I mean, today was a tough day. I mean, it really was. Most days of running just can be really mentally taxing on me and cause a lot of stress. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit down and mope around, because it's like what's the point? Like, what am I without running? Like, it comes to that point sometimes, because you're just so mentally fatigued.
Because running's your life. It's the majority of your life.
You're not mentally fatigued from the other activity you're doing. You're mentally fatigued because you're not running. You say you get mentally like burnt out from running, but you get more, if you're a runner, you get more mentally burnt out when you're not running. Like, it causes so much stress. Sometimes you can't sleep. Sometimes you can't get stuff done, because say you're typing on a computer and then you see something and then you're thinking for the next hour of something.
And then you might look it up. You might look it up on Google.
Yeah, God, that leads to a whole nother conversation.
That opens up
with
another
yourself.
can of worms.
With yourself. And you're just sitting on the couch like, this morning, I was literally doing that. I was trying to edit YouTube, and then, like, I started thinking about my tendon, my heel, my running, just everything, and I just thought for the next, 20 minutes, here and there, sometimes clicking on my computer to edit, then another thought, and just, it's awful. It's an awful thing, and so again, every day is not going to be a perfect day. And you say you want to live a perfect life, but what is that perfect life going to bring? Because you always want more.
It might bring joy, and more joy, but then you're going to start to lose that joy because you're going to want more. Oh, I want this more. That's just no longer a perfect life.
I think money brings happiness.
It does.
But how much happiness does it truly bring?
Mm-hmm.
It can buy some things that will make you happy, but like, it's not going to be like.
You just open up another can of worms.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
And back to your marathon, bro. Let's say you did end up taking those 2 weeks off or whatever, when you first was like, should I drop and put in the towel? Do you think you would have ran it first? Like, do you think you would have ran a marathon? And then did you think that you would have ran the Gulf Coast marathon? And then did you think that it could have helped maybe your marathon?
I don't think I would have got a good marathon time at all because of how my training was. And during that time, like, if you drop, just train for a half marathon. Like, it's just not worth it at all. So I was going to enter a half marathon training block, race the Gulf Coastal half, and then race the Louisiana half, and then take some time off.
I remember you kept on telling me that I'm going to do a half marathon in October, and then I'm going to do the Gulf Coastal half marathon. No mention of a marathon. So when did you truly know that you were going to run a marathon?
On August 2nd. I knew I was going to run a marathon.
No, even during that time, you were just like, you were
putting thoughts into my head
like you were entering,
really?
You were
marathon?
Really? Entering to a training block, but you're like, should I cut it down to 12 weeks and run it in October, and then should I cut it into, and then should I do another training block and do the Gulf Coastal half marathon? And then soon you started to be like, maybe I should do this October race, and then I should do the Gulf Coastal, and then I should be. Those are like kind of my two.
No, I had a lot of thoughts in my head.
You should have a lot of backup plans going on.
Yeah, because I felt like something was going to happen or change of plans or something. So I thought first, when I entered my training block, I knew I was going to run a marathon. Whether it was going to be Louisiana or another marathon. I knew I wanted to run a marathon somewhat time soon in a 24-week time frame, whatever that would have been. But when I got my crappy legs feeling like 2 weeks in, I'm like, well, this is awful. Just train for a half marathon or just downtime for the next 8 weeks and then train for the Gulf Coastal half marathon. And then you can take some 5 days off and then go back into training for a Louisiana marathon. So I knew I was always I had a lot of. But when I actually started really dialing into my marathon training, that when I knew I was going to race a marathon was probably about week 5, but really truly dialing it from there, I was dialing all my running and stuff, and I was very serious about it, but truly racing a marathon, when I said Gulf Coastal, it was about week 8, I would say. I was starting to think about, don't do Louisiana, that's too long, let's do the Gulf Coastal, and then on 2 weeks later, on week 10, during my down week 11. One of those weeks, I don't really know. I don't remember. But I'm like, let's sign up for the Gulf Coastal half. That's when it officially came in my head. Gotta get that training in. And then 4 weeks later, I got injured. And I really think it was because I made it official. And so nerves started to come up. And it just, who knows if I would actually ran if I didn't have a race in my plan. But who knows? I mean,
yeah, it's only for time to tell.
Everything happens for a reason. It really does. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm putting on weight for a reason. I'm not running for a reason. Maybe I just need time off.
Maybe it can allow you to actually run a marathon when you're 35, rather than actually no running when you're 35.
Yeah, maybe it's just giving me a long-lasting, who really knows? Maybe I just need to repair. That marathon training block was, I feel like it was nothing to me. But at the end of the day, it was tough. It was taxing. It took a lot out of me. And overall, 2021 took a lot out of me. I raced 2 peak races. And speaking of that half marathon training block in the beginning of 2021, I was smart. I took 2 days off sometimes here and there because a little niggle. A car ran me off the road and I tripped and fell, whatnot. Something happened like that, and I had to take 3 days off. I wasn't going to run through pain. I continued my run, and I thought that was stupid because I ended up having to take 3. But I was still smart. But in 2022, right? 2022.
Yeah, today's
Yeah.
2022.
Okay. I don't know what her mom, but like it was like, it's like I don't really know. Like, should I? This is just not the year I want going on for me right now, and it's happening for a reason though.
Yeah, maybe trust the journey, trust the consistency and the patience, because it might not be the year you want right now, but overall, it's going to be the year you want. You can't just be like, oh, there's just no such thing as overnight success. There's also no such thing as overnight joy.
Or perfectness all the time.
Yeah.
There's always ups and downs. Like, people do get injured. Running is the most injury-prone sport, I would say. And
yeah, because where do all the injuries come from in basketball? Most likely. Football, baseball, everything. You run.
It's like impact. Any impact sport gets you injured. And running is like one of the most impacts out there. It's not the most. It's very, very injury prone, and so maybe it's just after my marathon. Maybe I just need a more of a mental break and also a physical break than I thought I needed. Maybe I just really need to get my mental side fresh again and like stronger with the bike and whatnot and all that, but also repair my tendons, my ligaments, my joints. Maybe get stronger, allow me to put on weight, just everything else. Like, it's happening for a reason. It's like there so I can become better at the end of the day. Maybe I won't run a marathon this year or be able to run as much as I want. I'm not even running in general this year, but what will come in the next year or the next 2 years?
Like, you can't just, in your running journey, you can't just rely on one day, a year, a week,
or you can't look back in the past.
And you have to go back. You just have to keep on going forward, and you have to live day by day.
Yeah, because you also get older. Like, you think you're gonna run the same as when you're 16 as when
60.
You're, yeah, like seriously, like or 16 versus 25. Typically, you have so much more experience when you're 25, so you'll typically run better than you're 16. And so, like, you kind of just have to look over time rather than just over the next week, over the next month. Like, people look over just like a one period of time when you really have to look in the future. Like, what's going to bring me down the road in the future? If I have to take these next 5 days or this next month off, well, it's just going to bring me to more greatness in a year, because my running career is just not about this single month. It's not over after this month. It will help me so I can run later, so it's not actually over in this month, because it's about the journey of going up and down. Like, not just in your miles of the roller coaster, but up and down. Like, actually, like, if you go through this injury, you can rebuild back up, and then you peak race, and then you go back down a little bit. You go build more fitness, but then maybe another injury comes up. It's just about that journey.
So anyways, back in your marathon training block, do you think if you ran 7 days a week, you would have got not injured?
False.
Really? Even
false.
Really? Even
I really think I really needed that. Or I might have even got mentally burnt out. I think I really needed that day to just relax and rest up.
Let's say your training block was shorter, okay? And you ran 7 days rather than doing...
I feel like I could have done cross-training maybe.
Rather than doing 132-day training block, you actually did cross-training, or you actually did run to get that muscle stimuli. And do you think you would have got injured or not? Because considering you have less miles on your feet on your medium long run day, you can actually expand those miles. You can actually run slower on Sunday because it's your really recovery day, and let's say do you think you would have got injured?
I don't know. It's really hard to say because I never ran 7 days a week. Well, that's false. I actually have back at and God, I don't know the years anymore. 2020, in the summer of 2020, somehow we went to the beach and I was like, oh, I'm gonna run every day, and somehow it started a routine of running every day, and I was putting up these 70-mile weeks, and it was very good, but like it was solid and whatnot. Like, actually allowed some more rest days and whatnot, but I think one full day of actual rest is actually did me good. Maybe if I was actually raced like a 90-mile week, it might have actually came to the fact like I'm gonna run every day. And I have thought about running every single day, but like it's just like maybe I really just need a day.
Maybe you need to get older first.
That too, and
with
maybe
more experience and everything.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe I think I just actually need a day to like mentally recuperate, physically recuperate, analyze my training about the week. Like, if I ran that day, like, would I really have done all this? Like, I think I just really need a day to like recuperate my mind, my physical side, my mental side, readjust, because I was so tired on Sundays. Probably because I planned to do nothing physical wise. Like when I
let's say you actually plan something. Would you actually wake up tired, or would you still have woken up tired, but would considering it was your day after your long run, but would you wake up feeling more motivated to get in things? Because you essentially woke up this morning today knowing you essentially knew that you weren't gonna do anything. You in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not, in the front of your mind, you're like, I'm gonna do something, but the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not doing anything. So you have a lack of motivation. You have a lack of determination to actually do something today. So if you put the drive forward and actually set your mind to something, you would probably actually feel the motivation to do it.
Yeah, but I'm like, would it be worth it? Like, maybe I don't think I would have. I think I would have still slept in on Sunday, as much as I could. But I think Sundays was like my day of rest. Like, it was needed. I thought about running 7 days a week.
Considering Monday would have less miles, Tuesday, Wednesday, keep your Saturday long runs the same, but your medium long runs could actually be less miles.
Yeah, I think one reason I really think I got injured was because those just got so long. They got, whew, I don't even want to go back. Like, but when I look at my training, like, why did I not see a fast marathon coming into play? Because I would run these intense runs.
Because you just kept on saying, oh, I got injured, so it's time to say no more fast marathon. And that's essentially what's happening right now.
Yeah, because I was running. Like, how? Like, I saw my training, and I analyzed it a good bit, especially when I'm at work. And I look at my training, like, 17-mile run 3 days later. 20-mile run 4 days later. And in between all these days, 12-mile run, 13-mile run, 10-mile run, strength work, cross training on the bike, core every day, solid recovery going on. Like seriously, I had so much stress building up into my legs. Good stress, not like bad stress or anything. Good stress that would allow me to, and once I taper, to allow me to propel myself to run a fast marathon. Because it's not just that I was running a lot of miles, I was running these miles fast. Like 7:50, between a 7-minute pace and a 7:30 pace. And sometimes my long runs would be under a 7-minute pace. Like, I think my fastest long run was probably this 20-mile long run at 6:45, but I don't really remember.
If you can run that in your training block
every day.
No. You ran that in your long run in your training block. Let's say you didn't get injured. Do you think you would have ran a better time?
Yes.
In your training block.
I really do. I'm not gonna lie. I really do.
Because considering you got injured after you basically got injured right after you ran your 20-mile long run at a 6:45 pace. That, even though you're not running a full marathon, those race numbers on race day are different and can allow you power through for 6.2 more miles, and you probably could have ran a faster pace. But could you have run a faster pace, or would that have been your marathon pace if you did not get injured?
No, I really think I could have ran a I really think I could have ran a 2:52 marathon easily, because the reason I couldn't run as fast. And one reason is because I didn't have enough miles in my legs prior in that month time frame.
You started going instead of tapering, you went into panic mode and did more miles than you were supposed to when you were starting to actually.
I actually liked my taper program that I did. I'm not gonna lie.
You actually were running more miles that week on the week you were tapering than you were supposed to in your original plan. Like, let's say you were running 50 miles, well, you were supposed to run 30 miles instead, or 45. Because even with those 5 miles, those 5 miles could be a major difference, a game changer.
Speaking of the taper week, I'm glad I fell out the tub on Tuesday night, because it caused me not to run on Wednesday, and I would have built up more miles. And I think I needed that day of rest on Wednesday.
That was the week of the race, huh?
Yeah.
And you got really scared.
Yeah. I'm like, crap. Like, you really had to recover? You really had to go in the tub to go recover instead of a hot bath.
See, everything happens for a reason.
It really does. Like, everything has a purpose.
You might never know the purpose, but it sure does have a reason.
Yeah, that was a one awful night. I'm like, and then when I woke up that morning feeling pain, I used icy hot though. I think that's what made it feel better. I put icy hot patch on it, and it started to feel better. But
I feel like icy hot could actually be a placebo effect though.
feels good.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like it could be a placebo effect.
I don't know. Who knows? I feel like there's something in it that really does help though. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure it can help, but like, what makes it help more is the placebo factor to it. Yeah, like the ice, any kind of anything. I feel like if you feel like it works, I feel like it's gonna work a little bit better. Like staying hydrated. If you feel like it's gonna make you have better sleep, you might have better sleep.
Yeah, but speaking of, like, I think I would if I continue my training, because after that 20-mile long run, I had one more week of like that. Instead of a 20-mile long run, a 22-mile long run, and then start to pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, instead of a 20, you were going to actually peak out at a 22-mile long run.
Yeah, which with the walking, that would have equated to a 25. Because I say I ran a 20-mile long run, but I walked after every single run, which got longer and longer per walk, which equated to around a 23-mile run.
Because it ended up going to like that biking factor early that we were discussing earlier. You just kind of felt like you had to do more and more and more because it was just never enough. Like you just felt like you had maybe to recover a little bit more, like walk more. And then if you start running those walks, you feel like you have to start running in those walks every time.
Well, sometimes I had to run those walks because
late to work.
Late for work.
But like you know what I'm saying, like if you were running during like at the start of 2 minutes, well the next time you walk home you got to start running at 2 minutes. Like it's just kind of weird how that works.
Yeah, but if I really didn't get injured, I would have ran the next week and I would have reached around instead of an 83-mile week of running, it would be 85-mile week of running. Maybe even 100-mile week of walking and running, and then I would have started pulling back, which going 80 miles a week, I think like 70 miles, and then kind of hold it there till about the week of the race, taper, and then once I tapered, I would have tapered for 10 days, so I would have ran my medium long run and then start to taper, and then I would have the full next week, and then I would race, because when I race, my muscles tightened up so much. I really don't think I would have been so much as sore as I was after a race. I don't think I would have tightened up during the race, especially at mile 20. And I think it would have overall gone better because I think my pace would have been faster. Even if it was a second faster, I think I could. But again, everything happens for a reason. Who really knows if I could have, something could have gone wrong and I would have ran slower. And one reason I wish I didn't get injured, to practice nutrition more, because I was going to start adding more calories in my pre-long run field than what I was doing, because sometimes I cannot take a gel on my runs. I physically can't. It's terrible. And same with water. I hate it.
Like during this off season, if you were actually running, you can actually see what gels work, how many gels you can actually take and stuff. That's what's good about the off season.
Yeah,
you're not actually using the off season to your benefits.
Yeah. My key factor is 4 gels in a marathon.
Yeah, because you're not a super big person.
I'm not a big person. 4 gels is plenty. Sometimes 5 gels. It depends how long I'm really out there.
And it really depends how fast you're running.
Yeah, if my plan was to take a gel every 45 minutes because of how I carbed up. My carb up process was key to my feeling. It's way more important than my racing nutrition, not race day nutrition.
And race weight.
But
if you I feel like feeling your body correctly is more important, and carving up properly is more important than a race weight.
Yeah, don't focus on a race weight.
Unless you're
on
10
being
pounds heavier.
Focus on look at yourself. Oh, I can tell I'm holding water. Oh, look at me. That'll be good. I started noticing I was holding onto water about on Wednesday, and then starting to hold even more water, and then Saturday it kind of backed off just a tad bit, and Sunday I felt full. I was ready to go. I wasn't really hungry, but like I could eat, which was a good thing. Like you want to be able to eat on Sunday morning. You want to be able to eat on like that morning of the race at like early, like 3:30, because that means like you didn't overfuel and overstuff yourself. Like you feel gross. Like I felt like I didn't even eat anything, which is a good thing. You're just applying more carbs to yourself without feeling like, oh. And if you have to take a gel for your pre-race fuel, take a gel. Like you don't have to really consume something. You can consume liquid calories. You can consume a gel. You can just consume whatever you want. And some people just go completely fasted, because I did hear a story in Colorado about like someone just can't take in fuel before a run or during a run. They just have to rely on what they consume during the week and everything.
And before the day before.
Because it was actually caused stomach discomfort to where they had to drop out every single race.
Yeah, and like during that's the good thing about the journey of running. You can't just figure out that on one race, one training block, one run. You kind of have to, through your journey, you kind of have to figure out and pinpoint what works for you, what doesn't. And over time, those things might change, and those factors might change. So you have to figure out what works for you and what not. And like, for instance, when you're difference between heat and cold training, you're gonna need different things. Like for heat, you might need more water, you might need more carbs, and for cold, you might need less, or the opposite. Like and the clothing you wear is also different.
Yeah, like you typically, like, I hate running in the cold. I despise it. It's hard when it's under 45 degrees. It's awful for me. Like, it's funny how 50 degrees is my perfect racing weather, but when it drops 5 degrees lower, it's complete awful. It literally is. It's like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I can't breathe right. It's like, I remember running when it was icicles here last February. Like, when it was 20 degrees, I would wake up, and the cold, first off, the cold makes you feel so unmotivated. It really does. Like, I think one reason I feel so unmotivated right now is because I don't want to run in the cold. The cold is awful. It's awful. I love running the heat. I prefer a 120-degree day in Louisiana, which means like it feels like 150, than a 0-degree day with a wind chill of like -30. Like, who would want that? Like, first off, that probably means you have to run on the treadmill. It's just not good. I hate the cold.
Yeah, and going back to your training, like let's say you didn't have a race plan. You had maybe the Gulf Coastal, you had this other race, and then the Louisiana Marathon, but you had no race plan, like the official race day. Do you think you could have continued your marathon training block if not knowing your race day, not knowing your official race? Do you think you could have kept going, or do you think you would have just got mentally burnt out and just kind of lose your motivation?
No, because I got injured.
No, like.
But if I didn't get injured,
No, it's just like during, like the start of your block. Do you think you would have continued it?
Yes, because I had that motivation. Like I had that drive. I set a goal in my head. I planned it out. I did. You
still knew that you were running around December 12th or December 11th ish.
Yeah.
So even if you ran December 13th, you don't think you would have got mentally burnt out, considering you could have ran on different days?
Not really.
But let's say you had no race plan, and you had no idea what day you were racing.
That would have been tough.
You probably would.
I don't think
do you think you would have quit your training block because you just have no consistency?
I don't think I would have quit, but I would have where's this going? Like, what is this going? But I don't think I would have quit as much as I think I would, because of how good my training was going, honestly. Like, when your training is going good, you're like, oh, I feel good, I'm doing good, it's like, everything's going good.
Like, it's just kind of like you might get a little burnt out because you're just like, I don't have a plan. Like, why am I running if I don't have a plan?
Yeah.
And that's why kind of off-season can be challenging for the body. You're like, what am I preparing for? I'm preparing for the future season, but like, how do I go about training, like, so I don't get overtrained, mentally burnt out, and how do I stay at find the right mileage to stay consistent? When do I take a down week? All that.
Yeah, it's just you gotta prioritize your needs versus your wants, and that's where we're gonna end it here.
Yeah, Anyways, so that's podcast number 3. Let us know in the comments down below what you would like to see next on the podcast and in future just YouTube video vlogs and all that. Anyways, make sure you seek happiness, achieve goals, and find glory. We will see you in the next vlog or podcast. Anyways, helps us support the channel on Patreon. Peace.